Shaq Thompson for a 3-yard loss.
Shaq busting through. My goodness. And what we see is North Carolina offense coming to fruition because Cam is actually a pocket quarterback. Who knew? Oh my goodness.
Tackles the Camry. Busting through at the 30, 35, 40. Quick race down the right side. Here he goes at the 50, 40 to the Miami 30, 20 at the 10. A swipe with the ankles. They can't get him. Touchdown, Christian McCaffrey.
They can't get him. They can't get him. You're right.
They can't get him. But you can catch us, the C3 Panthers podcast, live Tuesday night, 9 p.m., where we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinion from the fan perspective. My name's Tony Dunn. They call me the Professor. You can find me on Twitter at @cat_chronicles. And I'm here tonight with my main bud, my main man, Cody Lashney. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful, my man. You know why? Because Marty Hurney did a thing, y'all. And we're happy that he did. Man, there was a much-needed injection of life into the Carolina Panthers at this time of year during a relatively dead time for the Panthers during free agency. We love the move. You know we're going to talk about it. Let's do it, man.
Yeah, tonight's show is episode 19.6. Funchie Free Agent Frenzy from Afar was the original name of the show. But Cody Lashney said, we got to change this sucker to Pancakes in Paradise because the Panthers have gone out and made an acquisition prior to free agency. Did you guys know this? It's not even free agency yet. It's the tampering period.
Dude.
Tomorrow is the free agency debut. That's where we thought we were going to be. Look, while everybody out there is spinning like drunken sailors, the Panthers were sitting, waiting for their guy, making sure the price tag didn't run up, and they go out and make an addition that isn't just flash, it is class. This is going to be a classy act. And the first brick, this is the first brick in building that wall. We've declared a national emergency on the C3 Panthers podcast. Build that wall. We have done it, folks. We have said that it was a national emergency. It had to be done. And look, the Panthers are prioritizing. We're going to be getting into that. Plus, Devin Funchess heading to the Indianapolis Colts to join one of my most hated rivals, Andrew Luck. And Thomas Davis now a Charger. And a lot of things to discuss when it comes to free agency. A ton of news to talk about. It is, and we're all going to be doing it here tonight on the longest running Panthers podcast with your help. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Go ahead and subscribe, rate, review, whatever you do, wherever you're listening at, just share the link. If you're on Periscope, if you're on Facebook, on YouTube, hit the thumbs up button, share the link with a friend. After the show, send it to a Panther friend and say, hey, I think you'll like this show. If you listen on the podcast, we want to hear from you. And we send us an email, carolinacatchronicles at gmail.com. But where we really want to hear from you is on the show, on the podcast, on the Cat Calls line. The number is 252-228-5098. Cody, let's go ahead and jump into this show tonight. It was there's a little anxiety among Panther fans to the point of I try to avoid being irritated like the Bill Voth skit. You know, I understand they get inundated with at mentions and stuff, but they're always like, you know, they get a little short at these times. I'm sure they're working hard, right? Yeah. And guys are all like, well, what about Antonio Brown to the Panthers? What about this? What about that? I was starting to get a little bit like that when everybody's like, well, this is a sign that the Panthers organization is broken, that we don't got any guts. We could have gotten Antonio Brown for a 3rd round pick or a 3rd and a 5th. And then you just have to tell the people, or you don't even have to, you got to just ignore it, that you forget about the gazillion dollars that came along with it too. So while people are spending like drunken sailors, I'm talking drunken sailors at the Vegas strip club type spending, Landon Collins getting a giant deal, CJ Mosley getting a deal that is insane, like getting paid like a defensive end. Right. Made the Ziggy, what is it? Ziggy what's the Answar guy?
Ziggy Ansah, and now there are two inside linebackers in the NFL that make more money than Luke Kuechly. Quan Alexander and I believe it's C.J. Mosley. For now, to the New York Jets. Just insane, man. They're backing up the Brinks trucks for these players who frankly aren't very worth it if you comb through their tape, man.
So they're spending all of this money. Panther fans are getting anxious, and then we'll get to the Devin Funchess news. But today, the Panthers go and target who I actually thought was a free agent who would be out of reach. Now, last week on the podcast, Joey said ideally I'd like for them to go after a center with a little experience so that the learning curve isn't so much on a young rookie. They go and get Matt Paradis. He is 26, 27 years old, still got years ahead of him in his career at this point. And this guy is one of the I think people are trying to knock him down to to the number 2 free agent center on the market. I think he's one of the top centers in the league. And at least statistically, he's been like that on a line that he hasn't had a ton of help with him in Denver since Russell Okung left. Where do you think, man, you got to be excited. Matt Paradis, I feel like I'm a fan in Paradise.
Yeah, I understand that. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this and then mute it. So
Ian, we have seen
we give everyone something to look at. But listen, I love this. And one of the trends that you saw online is the Panthers taking a center with the first round pick this year at 16. Maybe it was Garrett Bradbury or Elgin Jenkins later on, even early in the second round. But I love this move. I mean, you want to be able to fill the needs in your free agency period so that way you don't have to do it in the draft. And that's what we did. And I want to make an emphasis to say this. Matt Paradis is not just a good center. He is an awesome center. He has allowed 3 pressures in 2 years. I'll say that one more time. 3 pressures in 2 years. The man is an absolute beast. He's dominant at the point of attack. And, man, that's what the Panthers need right now. The Panthers need a center to just be able to make some lanes for Christian to run through and give Cam a clean pocket. Look at that, man. Put him right on the ground. That's the type of whoop-ass you want to see in your center. Matt Paradis, Paradis, however you say it, is the man. I love the signing. Just perfect, man. I'm loving this. We might still do some more during our free agency, but if we don't do anything else, I'm fine with it. I love this move. This is a perfect fit for our team right now.
Correction, Josh from Mass points out he's going to be 30. All right, so I for some reason I thought I saw 26, but October 12th, 1989, he'll be 30 years old. Now, so 3-year deal, that puts you in a good range, puts probably him in a good range for his career. You heard that Denver wanted to bring him back for a 1-year deal, and he is coming off IR, right? So there is some of this concern that you're going off of the tape and the film and what you've seen him do prior to the 2018 season. He has been remarkably consistent there. The injury was a broken leg. Is that correct?
Yes, he had a broken fibula. And according to and that is important to remember because he has to pass the physical, which will happen tomorrow. So long as he does that, I mean, everyone remembers what happened last year with Bashad Breeland. And, he was on the team and then it didn't pass his physical. So then it wasn't on the team. That does not seem to be a worry this time. It normally only takes about 6 to 8 weeks or so to be able to recover from a broken fibula. So he appears to be good to go. And
it makes sense to it makes sense that you put a guy that breaks a leg on IR, right? I mean, is that doesn't necessarily mean that it's indicate the severity of an injury, but if you're the Denver Broncos, you're not going to be in a playoff run. This happens in November, I believe. By the time that's what you do to fill a roster when you need to fill a roster spot in a hole. So that does not mean that he's damaged goods necessarily, but this is another time. If there is time for concern or one thing to be concerned about, it is the health. And what we saw with Matt Khalil, that they try to act healthy. They try to act healthy when they get signed, and they're trying to court the big bucks. But different type of injury, I think, than what Matt Khalil went through, as well as I think one of the things that's great about this is that this is not a break the bank type deal. You're talking $27 million. You're getting that, yes, or you're paying your starting caliber money. You're kind of paying close to Ryan Khalil money right there. Yeah. And you are, and likely you'll be able to get out of this in 2 years, but really, this takes a lot of pressure. It was untenable to make a move to go into this season with only using the draft and on the offensive line. It's unsustainable. Even if you wanted to keep Larson, draft a rookie, you lack depth. This does not stop you from drafting a guy. It may push you a little bit away from the NC State dude and more towards a Andre Dillard type player.
Yeah, and even the guy that I like, an Eric McCoy out of Texas A&M. I mean, maybe he's still too good to pass up if he's sitting there with the 47th pick in the second round. So we don't know. I do want to echo something that you mentioned with the injury. His injury that broke the fibula, it was basically a freak accident. It wasn't even an accident. The left tackle gave up a pressure, and the defensive end, I think it was Jadeveon Clowney, ran into the quarterback, and the quarterback fell into the leg of Matt Paradis, and that's what broke his fibula. And that could have happened to anyone. So other than that, it wasn't like it's some injury-prone issue that he's been dealing with every season. It's nothing like how Matt Khalil was when he signed with the Panthers. I don't have any fear in my mind that he's going to be able to be healthy moving forward. And yeah, I agree 100% with what you said. If we didn't do anything in free agency and just use the draft to fill all the needs on this team, man, there's no way that we would have been able to fill every position of need that we had to fill in the draft alone. It just wouldn't have been possible.
And if you look at it too, is that this is a move too that is financially feasible. Right now, we all had we had dreams. You had dreams more than anybody of adding a Trey Flowers, but you're talking about a commitment and an immediate cap hit that would be. It would be, you would have to make it work. I mean, it would be work to make. It would be laborious to make those numbers work. You're not going out. The thing that I'm saying is that imagine if. You just got I think a player who's going to make a larger impact on the team than some of the premier free agents we saw go off the board early. You think about Landon Collins going to the Redskins. Boy, did he take them to the woodshed, it seems like. Now, hopefully the deal, when the numbers come out, that it won't be as big as they say, but they're saying $45 million guaranteed, right? Is that you're talking about a player where, yes, did you sacrifice a little cap money? Under $10 million. How about this? What type of receiver in the NFL could you get on an addition on a 3-year contract for these types of numbers? You're talking about you made an addition that is cheaper than the Humphreys guy that went to the Titans. The Humphreys guy that's going to the Titans get paid $14 million a year, and he's a slot receiver, the guy from Tampa Bay. I think that's his name.
Yeah, the Clemson guy, Adam Humphreys. Yeah, I know Adam. Yeah, and see, here's the deal. especially at a position of need. This is why it's such a good signing. One, we're losing a Pro Bowl center in Ryan Kalil, and you and I both knew that the past 2 years in Carolina for Ryan, they hadn't been great. He was on the back end of his career, and he wasn't performing how he had in the past. Now we have a guy who is still young. All right, the dude's my age. All right, I'm 29. The dude's 29. He's a young guy for my money, and it's a position of need for us. And I want to emphasize this: the man is a badass. All right, I've looked at his film. I've looked at what he does. Shout out to Joe Riolano, who will join us later on tonight. Joe Riolano was calling for Matt Paradis a while ago now. This is absolutely huge for us. I love it. I don't know that even if we signed Trey Flowers, that would have been a better position fit than this. Because now it gives us more options, I feel.
I think you're right. It gives us more options. I think arguably it could make just as much of an impact without, or close to it, should I say, without the financial burden. Now, Trey Flowers was a younger player. If you could get a guy that's going to stick around for 4 years and be a dominant defensive end, then that is something to be said. But you're right. This would, if we would have allocated our money there, we would have really put ourselves in a corner a little bit when it comes to the draft. And that's not what you want to do. You don't want to shop hungry. You've seen guys shopping hungry in free agency. So you guys, you're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast. We want to hear your thoughts on the Panthers free agency and NFL free agency altogether. You can call into the Cat Calls line. The number's 252-228-5098. We're going to go ahead. I got a big surprise for you guys coming up in the show later on, so stick around. And I think the one last thing when it comes to Paradis, dang Bleacher Report today. You guys, I get a message from Rich Kingston and England saying we won free agency. You and Joey are firing off messages at me talking about how we got Matt Paradis. And I click the link Joey sends me, and it says Panthers sign Matt Paradis. And then it's a tweet from Adam Schefter that says Tennessee signs Matt Paradis. I was so confused. Bleacher Report. You got to get your report straight. You got to get your report straight. I'm sitting there. I got other ice up picks on my mind today.
All right.
Bleacher Report. But don't worry. All right. Big news, I guess, as everybody else is watching these players go to other teams, and remember, this is not free agency. This is the tampering period. These are guys that you are committing the big bucks to generally, that you don't want to let hit the market and get out of your grasp, that you don't want to be late to pull the trigger on. Seems to me that those are the type players that are going before tomorrow. Those first day players. Today was a little second wave of that. But what we saw, one of the players was a Carolina Panther exiting, and that was Devin Funchess. Devin Funchess, 4-year player, Panthers wide receiver, bigger body receiver. A lot of criticism for Devin Funchess every other year. He shows that you know what? This is why he was a good Panther, because he had the even year curse. That's what he had. He himself had the even year curse. He played good in 15, bad in 16, good in 17, bad in 18. We have parted ways with Devin Funchess, who in the last, year has not ingratiated himself with fans. Couple of games where he had some important catches, but some memorable boggles and drops. I think of the Saints game on a 3rd and 4 or 3rd and 8, and we throw the ball, we get it, and it was 3rd and 4, and I mean, Cam Newton puts it right on his hands. He drops it. You're backed up deep after that. Things go wrong from there on. You got games. I think there was another game where a ball comes and he's getting muscled by shorter guys. Sometimes he makes some big catches too. You just never know what you're going to get with Devin Funchess. He signs a 1-year deal with the Indianapolis Colts, guaranteed $10 million, could make up to $13 million. Cody, I'll let you just comment on Devin Funchess quickly before we get to Panther fan reactions about Devin Funchess.
So listen, man, maybe this is kind of unfair because I do know in 2017 in the playoffs in New Orleans, I know that he was hurt. He was dealing with a bad shoulder, and he had been dealing with it for a while. But, man, I just remember at the end of the game, a touchdown could have put us ahead, and all we needed was for Devin to give a little bit of extra effort. Cam threw a beautiful ball right to the side of the end zone, and Devin just didn't make the play, man. And
was that the Saints game?
Yeah, that was.
The second Saints game, maybe?
Yeah, that was the third one. That was the playoffs in New Orleans.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man, and listen, that meant so much. And I don't know, like I know the man was injured, and listen, he will always be a better, more well-remembered Panther than Kelvin Benjamin ever was or ever will be. And yeah, listen, and he was a good team guy. And listen, this year was bad for him, but he has not been a bad Panthers receiver for the most part. He had a role. He played a role. At times, he was put in the number one receiver role, and frankly, that just wasn't meant for him. He's not a number one type of wide receiver. He's a complementary player, which is part of the reason why I do feel that he will have success in Indianapolis. Because they do have T.Y. Hilton. They do have other pieces that they're going to be able to move the ball around to. And Devin Funchess will just, have opportunities whenever he's open. And he's a big body receiver, so he'll have those matchups. So I wish him well, but I'm not mad at us moving on from him. I believe in this draft, we should be able to put some better, faster, more talented pieces on the football team.
I never was particularly a fan of Devin Funchess, and I was rooting for him to succeed. It all comes back to the draft where Dave Gettleman traded up for him. I thought he could have been and I guess I was in that pick. I guess I'm in that camp of people now I criticize, like, he's not a 19 pick, he's a 27 pick. I just wish they would have let the board come to him that year. Instead, they give up when at a time you're trying to add a lot. Going from 2014 into 2015 or into the 2015 season, you see some signs of life from Cam and Kelvin Benjamin. You're trying to add some pieces around this team. And, I felt like we sacrificed a little bit more for a guy who slightly was raw. Well, and I think the reason you said it, he wasn't a bad receiver. What he was underwhelming. And I think that the reason that I have always been a little sour on Devin Funchess is especially because you see the tools. And you see the tools there of a guy who is open a lot of times, who is at times beating coverages, who has the physical body to do it. But here it was with the physical tools he had. They dovetail with opportunity in Carolina. Devin Funchess got opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. So this is not something like, hey, this is a player who he got left over from the Dave Gettleman era, and he didn't really get a good chance to develop his skill set. In fact, he was thrust in a little bit too quickly, some could say, but he was given a lot of responsibility, and you just thought, hey, Devin Funchess could be a number one. You said he isn't, and that may be the case, but you look at him and you go, why not? And it becomes he's inconsistent. He just was inconsistent, and most people said there wasn't enough dog in him. Now, going back to this is that now all of a sudden Devin Funchess, he leaves, and he becomes first. I think Panther fans, some of them were too hard on him. I think some people are like, he's trash. He can't catch, because the thing is, he's good. He's too good to put on the sidelines, and he's not good enough to give the ball to feed the ball to.
As unfair as it is, he'll probably be remembered in Carolina for that game last year in Detroit, dropping 5 or 6 passes.
Yeah. Now, then on one hand, you get one group of people who is overly negative and down on Funchess. And then on the other hand, you get the pessimist group of Panther fans who like to cheer for failure of the Panthers. And all of a sudden they go, man, Devin Funchess is going to be good when he gets with Andrew Luck. Man, think of the storylines there. That's what they're saying. All of a sudden, now Devin Funchess is a great player that he's not with the Panthers. And what I want to ask these people is, would you have been happy if with the cap situation we had, the roster situation we had, if we would have paid him $10 million?
It would have been bad.
No! Yeah, we can't. We would say no. Come seriously. DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, and then we're going to get to the Torrey Smith thing later, Cody. But then Torrey Smith is a bargain at $5 million compared to Devin Funchess at 10.
I mean, if you and I disagree on this, I mean, I understand, and I also, to be fair, I think the fact that Cam Newton's deep ball being hampered last year, I also think that kind of played into Torrey Smith not being as good of a receiver as it could have been for the Panthers. But I don't know, man. I just think that $5 million, man, for a guy that caught 17 passes last year, that's just.
He was hurt.
Hey, maybe
you
I'm
gave
wrong.
Devin Funchess a pass. You gave Devin Funchess a pass for him being hurt.
No, but that's the thing, man. When you're in the play, okay, that's why I brought up that play with Devin Funchess, because even though he was hurt, I'm not giving him a pass for that, man. You're in the playoffs playing your division rival that beat you twice that year. Go up and get the damn football, man. That's what I'm saying. I mean, listen, is it fair? No. And maybe Torrey Smith proves to be worth it. But I don't know. I would love to have another safety on the football team right now. And I feel as though that $5 million that we're paying Torrey Smith could have been better used elsewhere. But, I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to moan about it.
We're going to go. We got more to talk about with Torrey Smith, because I do want to get on. We are on opposite sides of the fence here when it comes to that. Now, Devin Funchess, all of a sudden the favorite boy in Indianapolis. Now he's going to fly into Indianapolis. They're excited about him getting there. And what Devin Funchess is known for is the salad boy, right? Is that Devin Funchess says that the favorite food is salad. So when he touches down, you got to think he's going to take himself out for a nice salad dinner. $10 million richer in his pocket. Nice salad dinner. And I'm telling you, Devin, you got to go with an eloquent, a sophisticated Caesar salad.
A Caesar salad? You think a Caesar salad will be Devin Funchess' first salad in Indianapolis?
Elegant. It's an elegant choice.
Tony, enough of all this going back and forth and all this other stuff. Y'all need to go ahead and pick the house salad, because it's going to be the best for everybody. You never know if somebody like all the Parmesan cheese and all the other extra croutons and stuff like that. So you got to go with the house salad. The house is for everybody.
Oh, my God. Devin Funchess dropping it on the C3 Panthers podcast. He's going house salad when he gets to Indy.
House salad, man. You heard it here first. We're breaking news on the C3 Panthers podcast, baby. House salad is the first one he's ordering as an Indianapolis Colt.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Enough of the back and forth. Enough of the back and forth over the salad. Good gosh. $13 million. My man put a little steak on that salad. To celebrate
it. On that salad, baby.
All right.
Shout out to Devin Funchess.
Yeah, you know what? I wish him the best of luck, to be honest. I do wish him the best of luck. I wish he would have been a superstar here. He wasn't. I think it was time. It's time. It's the DJ Moore era. And I'm so sick of people saying that DJ Moore can't be this, can't be a number one. We don't know what DJ Moore can be, but I know what he is already, and it's pretty dang exciting. So I'm happy I'm very, very happy to see DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel. And I do think, let's talk briefly. Let's go back to Torrey Smith. Because Ben, arguing point here, Torrey Smith, right now, his contract is not guaranteed. So if you need the $5 million and you desperately need it and you have an opportunity to get better, you can go do that. But at the same time, the wide receiver market at this moment is so inflated. We're talking about threes, dude. We are talking about guys that are not great, that are getting paid upwards of. Dante Moncrief got $10 million last year. Yeah. Devin Funchess gets $10 million this year. And I'm not saying is that I think that I think they were overpaid? No, I'm not even going to say that. I'm never telling a player they're overpaid. I think that what you could do is I don't think that we should allocate that money. I don't think there's a tremendous drop off to Torrey Smith at this point, but I think with $5 million, Cody, you have a veteran presence at this moment who could fill in and be a role player who can maybe start for you a little bit if necessary, but you're not handcuffed so much to where if it's time to be the DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel show, then do it. If you can draft if somehow DK Metcalf fell to 16, which is not going to happen, but if it did, right, is that you don't have to, you could get a guy like that and not feel like, oh, another year where we're starting a guy over young talent because they're not good enough yet. Torrey is a low risk, low cost option for this team. And if he's healthy, I think is a decent addition at this moment. He's only 30 years old. I think my whole argument is if it's not Torrey and you take him off of that team, you got to get another receiver. You have to have one more. And if you go and get that, what are you going to get for $5 million? Nothing. Trash. Worse than Torrey Smith.
But I think what you're doing, though, is you're seeing this Devin Funchess contract. And, listen, I know the chat room is a buzz. We know Odell Beckham's going to Cleveland. Antonio Brown has a brand new contract with Oakland. I do understand that. But $5 million in my mind, you cannot justify that for the amount of production that you put up in 2017. And on top of that, that whole veteran presence in my mind, like, what are we doing, though? We have Cam Newton as the leader of our football team. Why do we need to have some grizzled veteran as a player on our team? I just don't.
You need him in the meeting room with the guys. You need him in the meeting room where Cam is not with those guys.
I don't know. I just think that's what the coaches are for. I mean, $5 million. I mean, listen, and this is what I'll say. I'm not mad at Torrey Smith being on the roster. I'm not as upset as some other people are. Tyler Lovato also makes a point. Jarius Wright is also on our roster still. Tim Tizzy said that as well. I'm just of the mindset that we have younger players, and we'll probably draft another one that may end up being more reliable, worth less money than Torrey Smith is worth. So I don't know. I'm not in love with it. I'm willing to swallow that pill. It is what it is. I just wish that $5 million could have been allocated towards maybe another safety or maybe just more money to have on some other position,
Let me tell you the other $5 million receivers right now. Torrey Smith, $5 million, 30 years old. Ryan Grant, $5 million, 29. Mike Williams for the Chargers on his rookie contract. Can't count that. Right. Adam Thielen. That it can't be right. We got to see what's going on with Adam Thielen's contract.
No, that's probably right.
Holy cow. Adam Thielen should hold out.
Yeah, we're paying Torrey Smith the same amount of money that Adam
That's
Thielen
Adam Thielen's problem. Paying. That ain't Torrey Smith's fault.
It's
that is Adam
problem,
Thielen.
Man. We are not going to get $5 million worth of production out of Torrey Smith. But
Adam
Christian
Thielen is
McCaffrey,
getting hosed, dude. He's getting hosed.
dude,
Cordell Patterson gets $4.2 million.
think about
Chris
Greg
Hogan
Olsen.
gets $4 million.
Think about Greg Olsen, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, the younger tight end that we just drafted. I'm bad with names all of a sudden. I'm stupid.
Ian Thomas.
Ian Thomas. All the other options we will have on the roster. And even though he might make some plays, I'll bet you that Torrey Smith doesn't live up to $5 million worth of production this year.
We're going to disagree on this one. I think this gives us some good latitude. I think $5 million right now is chump change in the NFL. But, gosh, poor Adam Thielen. Man, you got to hold out, bro. You're getting screwed, dude. You were like, he's had 100 receptions 2 years in a row, I think. He just set like the NFL record or the franchise record or something like that this past year. And he's getting paid like, dang, Cordell Patterson makes more money than he does, or is the same amount. That's insane. All right. You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast, where every Tuesday night we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions. We do it with your help, the greatest fans out there. Look, the chat room is popping tonight. Even Devin Funchess dropped in. And, boy, part of the show. That was fun to hear from Devin Funchess on his way out, touching down, going to get a house salad. Should have asked him what dressing he was going to get. Sad note, another player who exited low fat Italian.
Low fat. Boring.
Thomas Davis, Panther legend, kind of untouched. He is the untouchable Panther. I saw that Darren Gant got blocked by Thomas Davis a couple of years ago because he implied, or he said that Thomas Davis thought he implied, but he didn't, that he got Dave Gettleman fired. But like Thomas Davis is, the legend. He's lore. He is up there, gives the keep pounding mantra meaning, breathes life into a statement that was created by Sam Mills. But Thomas Davis is no longer a Panther. We parted ways with him. And now today he has signed or agreed to a deal. He will be wearing the light blue. He goes from the Carolina tealish blue to the powder blue to the Charger blue. He is going to be a Los Angeles Charger now. Him and Phillip Rivers together, old.
Listen, man, I will never say a bad thing about Thomas Davis. If anything, I'm happy that he gets to spend, so it's a 2-year deal, right? If he plays another 2 years, I'm happy that the man gets to spend his final 2 years playing football in Southern California. Where come on, I want to be in Southern California. I don't know about you. But listen, Thomas Davis is a veteran. I hope that one day he's the type of player that has a statue outside of Bank of America Stadium or wherever we're playing. Hopefully, always Bank of America. I love Thomas Davis, man. He meant so much to the team, the culture, and I'll never say a bad word about the man. I'm happy for him. I don't know about you. I know they're a good football team. I'm not mad at this because they're in the AFC, and I know we don't play them next year. We do in 2020, but we won't see them this year, and I doubt we'll see them in the playoffs. It could happen.
And we might not even see him in 2020, but this is fine. If we see him in a playoff game, or we just see him in 2020, well, first, I'm not going to be upset with him, period. It would be a lot harder to see my man in a Falcons jersey, to see him in a Saints jersey, to see him in a Bucks jersey. Like, is that if Thomas Davis, I'm okay with a guy who says, look, I want to end my career as a Panther. He surely did. He truly did. But at the same time, too, is that if someone's going to pay you to play football and you can make real money, that's meaningful money to your family and to the future of future Davis's generations, then you go do it. I ain't got no problem with that. I'm happy for you. This is, like you said, the climate's great there because, boy, what a cruddy way to go out it would be in Buffalo.
Yeah, man. Or you can be like Antonio Brown, hear that you're getting traded to Buffalo and say, nah, dog.
No way. I don't even blame him.
Miss me with that bullshit, bro.
I don't even blame him. We got to talk about that. There's some crazy things. So Thomas Davis, keep pounding, man. And I would say, sadly, you're never going to get the ring. Not with them. And I don't care how good they were. Phillip Rivers can't get past the play. The fact that you could not beat the Baltimore Ravens and they put up like 8 yards that game. Ugh.
Yeah.
Just he cannot. He's got a playoff curse. Phillip Rivers has got a playoff curse, man.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I know that Phillip Rivers is not. He's not your favorite quarterback in the world. I mean, listen, man. Like I said, I don't feel any sort of threat from the Chargers. Not only are they not, they're not in our division, but I think the AFC West is going to be a tough division to be competitive in going forward. The Chiefs and Pat Mahomes. I mean, that's going to be that's a rough ride for anyone. So, like I said, man, I love Thomas Davis. I wish him nothing but the best. I know Panther fans everywhere generally feel the same. So do Panther players. I'm happy for him, man. I absolutely wish him the best.
I'm going to ask you a question, but before you answer it, all right. So the question's going to be, so don't answer it right away. But the question is, what is it going to take for you to like Marty Hurney? Right now, he's had 2 seasons where he's had great off seasons right now where we're starting to think that there's some real things that are happening. And similar to that question, I got to ask this. There's 52 people watching right now. There's 25 thumbs up. What's it going to take, folks, to get 20 more thumbs up? Come on. What's it going to take, Cody? What's it going to take for you to trust Marty Hurney, to feel the Hearn? Because I know people are going to be like, oh, he's trying to just always come in and say like Marty Hurney when he does good stuff, but all the bad. No, I've consistently said that Marty Hurney is a pretty darn good GM. And it seems like in his second stint, he might be a little bit wiser than his first stint, or he just has a little burst of energy. Maybe he's getting tired towards the end. A good, decent offseason last year, some flawed plans when it comes to the age of the team. A little bit on Ron Rivera, a little bit on Hurney there, but his free agency game has been elevated in his second run. We made good decisions here. What would it take in the remainder of free agency and this draft for you to feel the Hearn?
Well, so I don't know what all we're going to do in free agency going forward. I believe right now we have $7 million. But, I mean, as far as what makes me comfortable with Marty Hurney being the GM, he has to nail this draft, man. We have needs at tackle. We have needs at defensive end. We have needs at safety. We should be able to fill every single need on our team with a starter. And I know that seems like a lot, but man, knowing what I know about the players in this draft, if he is not able to do that, then I question him as a general manager. But I will give him the credit, man. Eric Reed bringing him in and paying him the kind of money that Eric got before the safety market just blew up. Matt Paradis, Dante Jackson, and DJ Moore last year. I'm happy about that. Torrey Smith, you and I are up and down on. I mean, I don't know. I want to be all in on Marty Hurney. I just don't know that I am until I see what he does in this draft. I want a franchise left tackle and a brand new badass defensive end to go on the line. And when that happens, I'm all in. And until then, I have my reservations. I'm not sure that I trust him yet. I don't know that he's done anything to warrant that trust yet. I'm open to the fact that he might.
Hold on.
He might, but not yet. Not for my money.
All right. I got to say this. Here he goes. Here's our appeal. We're going to go chat room first. The chat room's got some things to say positively about Marty Hurney. First, Tin Tizzy says, Marty Hurney, first round guru. Totally true. And I don't want to hear people say, oh, you should always hit in the first round. Yeah, you should always hit in the first round. And we see people not do it year in and year out, and how long that sets you back. Marty Hurney, first strength, first round guru. Number 2, Michael Jones says that being freed from Jerry Richardson has helped Marty Hurney. Number 2. Number 3, I believe this is that we saw that last year's free agency, we were happy with the Brashard Breeland deal. He did the physical part, got out of it, recuperates very quickly, goes Cockrell, and on last second gets into the Poe game. Poe thing didn't work out yet. I still think there's some opportunity for it to work, but did not have. He had a backup plan, or at least made some backup moves. His last year's draft was pretty solid, wouldn't you say? DJ Moore, Ian Thomas. Who else did we get in last year's draft?
Dante Jackson.
Dante Jackson.
Who I think is going to be a fantastic player. I really do like DJ Moore. I know a lot of people.
We got 3 starters. We got 3 starters in a row when it comes to DJ Moore, Dante Jackson, and Ian Thomas.
And that's what will make me feel better about him. I'll give you that all day, every day. In the first round, the man is money. I mean, he's signed some fantastic players, drafted some great players. I want to see him hit on some gems later on in the draft that people that people are going to be talking about for a long time. That's what I want to see him do. I feel that a good general manager should be able to unearth some gems, and I want him to show that he has the ability to do that.
Still some time there. Some Jay Steverson says, look out for Clinton Dix. Could be coming, something like that. Now, also, there could be some cuts coming and a way to make some room. And look, and this goes to a point that Lynn was talking about. I'm going to put this up. I saw this on Facebook, and I thought this was a pretty interesting post here. And it is about what the cap number could look like in 2020. Now, I think even here, when it comes to what this is saying, is that this could be even a larger in many ways, because if we release Ryan Khalil after June 1st, the money we saved this year will also roll into 2020. So you get the 2020 savings and the 2019 savings, double savings that year. So Marty Hurney, one of the cool things right now is that he doesn't seem to be playing desperate at this moment. Now, what Lynn brought up in the chat room is she said she heard there was only $4 million in free space. And if that is the case right now, the roster is more filled out than we expect it to be, unless there's some changes are coming. Now, what are these changes that are potentially there? Cersei is an opportunity. Cersei, he will not be there, right? Is that you're going to drop him? You're going to save a couple $1 million there. There's got to be somebody, somehow, some way you can make a little space on this team. I don't know who it is.
Is maybe Ross Cockrell, who I think signed a 2-year. If I'm not mistaken, I should probably just bring up over the cap so I can. I got it. Yeah, I think Ross Cockrell would be a great one. And hey, man, let's bring up Torrey Smith again. I wouldn't be surprised if Torrey Smith at some point wouldn't even be trade fodder. If he isn't as productive, or if Curtis Samuel and DJ Moore both just turn it on at the same time, maybe that's an option too. I don't know.
Ross Cockrell gets you a $2.5 million. Cersei would get you $1.8 million, and we're talking about Dontari Poe. You wouldn't clear up a lot. I think the number is that I would be actually, I don't know if this could happen now that we've seen the free agent numbers go out there. But one of the things that I've kept saying is Shaq Thompson making $9 million this year is a lot. And not that it's a ton of money for it is kind of top upper echelon numbers because he's on that 5th-year option. But he could get a longer deal with less of a cap hit where it's, you can take that number down to 7 and spread it out, and maybe it escalates a little bit in a year or two. That might free up a little. Man, but when you see the linebackers, get paid, good Lord, that might sound like he might be a discount right now at $9 million.
Maybe so, but listen, that kind of brings me to another point about Marty Hurney, though. Why wouldn't we have done that already? I mean, free agency is right now, I mean, I know technically it starts tomorrow, but everyone's doing their dirty dealings right now. So if, why not sign Shaq to a brand new deal now to lower that hit, to have a little bit of money,
right,
to maybe sign a Ha Clinton Dix or, whoever else is out there, at the free safety position,
there are not a lot of people to cut, to be honest.
No, there's really not.
There's not a lot of room to free up.
We have a lot of money is tied up in Cam Newton, Luke Kuechly, Dontari Poe, K'Wan Short, Matt Khalil. But God, that Matt Khalil just makes my soul hurt. Especially since I want to replace him so damn bad.
I got the idea. I got it. We got to restructuring Mario Addison. That's what we got to do. Mario Addison is due $10.6 million this year. The last year of his contract right now is that you could cut him today and save $6 million. You could do that. You would have $4.5 million, but you would free up $6 million. But you need that defensive end. What if you extended Mario Addison a year and just suck it up for a year a little bit and have a little bit more on that next year, but you're going to have so much space come open. That might give you some breathing room.
Now, I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying, though. I feel as though I don't know. Maybe they can do it later when they want to, during the trade period, sometime during the season. Now it just feels like with Shaq, Mario, whoever else, it's just a little bit too little, too late.
Nah, it might be like this. One of those things is the guys you're trying to get are not the premier free agents. So you kind of let the dust settle. You let the interest. You see some players that didn't get the interest that they thought. Think about what you were able to get Kenny Vaccaro for, or Trey Boston last when nobody came a shopping. Right. So now if you need to get a couple of $1 million and pad out the roster, there could be some small things to do, but not a ton of options. We really committed a lot. It seems like this point the draft is going to have to be pretty good. We're going to need Mario Addison to play another good year for us. A lot of questions to be answered still, but we got Joey Riolano in the house, that freaking Puerto Rican, and that guy must be, it's like Freaky Friday to him. He's freaky happy. That came freaking fast. Matt Paradis, your guy, is now a Carolina Panther.
I am very happy. I'm happy to be here on the show with you guys, for one. And for two, I really did. This is the guy I hope the Panthers would get.
Yeah.
I knew Ryan Khalil's value was considerably more than his playing ability. His understanding of the offense and his role and the other people along the offensive front's role was invaluable. So I was really feeling like we needed a veteran to come in and take over the center position as opposed to a rookie. Not to say the rookie couldn't have done the job. I just feel much more comfortable having a guy that's been through the wars and in the
And you don't have
trenches.
to give him a pass in his first year
Right.
as much. You don't have to consider the first year as just like, it's a
A
learning year.
learning year, right? And that's what we have. We have one of the better centers in the league, and I don't think we overpaid for him. I think we're going to be getting our money's worth.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he got overpaid at all. I mean, it's actually a reasonable number.
Very much so. And I did hear earlier in the day that he had gone to Tennessee and accepted an offer from them. So I was a bit discouraged. But then later in the day, I see a tweet and I'm like, no freaking way. And sure enough, I guess he changed his mind, or he liked what he saw in Carolina. And that's how I felt about this whole free agent thing is I know the team doesn't have a lot of cap space, but I know Charlotte, and that area is very appealing if you have a young family with young kids and you want to live in an area that feels like a big city, but it still feels like a small town. Charlotte is your area. And I felt that we needed to bring in players, free agents, and let them see Charlotte. Take them around town, let them see the schools and the neighborhoods and the art and the sports and everything Charlotte has to offer, and maybe make it less about the money and more about the lifestyle.
And listen, as someone who lives in Charlotte, Joe, you're 100% correct. Eric Reed even said that in the video that he shot with Bill Voth when Bill Voth was interviewing him, that Charlotte is it's just the right type of city to want to raise your family in. It feels like a city, but it doesn't have quite the congestion of a city. I love it. I think you hit the nail on the head. And I think this team, even though we have some needs at some key positions, the fact that we have Cam Newton, the fact that we have Luke Kuechly, we have these stalwarts on offense and defense. And whenever you have them, I mean, we're always a contender to make a push. And I think for a free agent like Matt Paradis, I mean, that's an attractive offer to come here to Charlotte.
Right. Yeah, so he's not going to have any competition. He's coming in to a starting role, and he knows he's going to need to be a leader. Plus, he's got a family. Charlotte's a great area. I mean, how could he say no to $9 million a year on top of having a starting position from the time you walk in the door and being in a great area?
Yeah.
I got to wonder what we're going to do. I mean, I think we're starting to get a little depth too when it comes to our offensive line. Tyler Larson, who we signed that's got some versatility there, as well as I think Van Roten, that you bring in a couple, you bring in one start. You know what you might be able to do here, guys, is only have to draft one offensive lineman high up. If you drafted one in the first, and then you could go to defense all of a sudden and get a safety or get an edge, something like that to make a difference. And really, I'm about a little tired of people already giving up on Golden. We have no idea what Rashawn Golden's going to be. Now, does that mean that I think that he necessarily needs to be given the starting job like we did to a Trey Boston his second year, where we did to a Ben Wickery as a nickel corner his second year? Maybe a little bit too much on their plate too early. but only seeing him in limited snaps last year, I think is too quick to just write him off as not being good enough just yet. So let's see what Ross Cockrell can offer coming back, or if he's going to be a camp casualty. Let's see where things are going from there. Look, you're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast. We want to hear from you. We're going to go ahead and jump into cat calls. The number's 252-228-5098. This is a time where you can leave a voicemail for us anytime throughout the week, and we will play it. Now, let's go ahead and jump into these calls and see what you guys got to say about these reactions.
Do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like
who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use
one? Man, what a signing. Hey guys from Harrisburg. Ben from Harrisburg. Hey, I just saw the news come in that we got Matt Partis from wow, Tony, you were right, man. Did not think we were going to make a big after that signing. I thought that was basically just a throw in the towel, but man, that was huge for us. It takes care of one of our three biggest needs. Obviously, we would have loved to see Trey Flowers, but I mean, looking at the contracts that those two guys got, I mean, there's just no way we were going to be able to make those numbers work.
Unrealistic.
So, man, I'm happy that they were able to be aggressive with the center market. I was kind of starting to fall for Garrett Brad there a little bit, but I think that's okay. That probably obviously isn't going to happen now. We can really focus on the two obvious positions of need now, offensive tackle and defensive end. So excited to kind of see how fit in with everybody and stuff on the team. Pretty excited, guys. What do you think? Thanks.
Yeah, the one thing we're gonna have to do is get Matt Pardis. We got to get him on the show and tell him how to so he can tell us how to pronounce his damn name. That's what we're gonna need. I think I like that Pardis. He said it quick and smooth. I'm sitting here like I'm in paradise. Now, the thing that here is what I love about this signing is he said it, man, this takes care of a need. You're getting a key player, a player that's had a lot of success at his position, right? As well as think about what you would have done with that money elsewhere. How about what you think you would you be happy if we got Darrell Williams?
Yeah, we do need to talk about Darrell Williams. I
would be upset. I don't want Darrell Williams. We don't know enough about Darrell Williams. I'm not saying he's bad. I just don't know if he's good.
So listen, and Tony and I know we talk about this. There's a coalition of people on Panthers Twitter that absolutely hate Darrell Williams, and I dove into this to understand why. And when you look at the film, it is easy to understand why on not most, but on a lot of plays where Darrell Williams is in pass protection, he had to have a tight end or a running back help him in pass protection. So that means one-on-one, Darrell Williams is a liability on the right side. Mind you, the best pass rushers in the NFL, a lot of the times they're lining up against the right tackle. So I think you have Taylor Moton, who's shown to be better at the position than Darrell Williams. I'm on the same team, man. I don't want Darrell Williams to be back on the team. I think there are better options in the draft. As I've been saying, build that wall, spend premium draft capital protecting Cam Newton, and I feel that if we do that, I'm happy with that. But now Darrell Williams is a name that has not gone to another team yet, so I don't know if he is gonna pull the type of money that he might want somewhere else. I don't know. I'm on your side though. I'm not a fan of Darrell Williams as much as I once was.
Joe, Daryl Williams is going to go to another team. They're going to pay him because he's listed as a tackle. And then halfway through the year, if he can stay healthy, or the next year, they're going to Mike Remmers him and have to put him at guard.
I don't know, man. I think, I mean, it's such a high demand position. You know, people almost pay you just to see if you can work out at that position.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, look what we did with Khalil.
Yep.
You know, that's a perfect example. We signed him with hope that he could get better and that he'd be healthy. Now we're going to have to play him, especially if Daryl Williams leaves.
Well, and we don't draft somebody.
Yeah. But even if we draft somebody, you're going to want Cam's blind side being protected by a rookie.
Well,
Daryl Williams can't play the left. He is not quick enough to play the left. He's a bigger, you know, Scott Karasik, of all people, said that he can't be a tackle when he came out of the draft. And I think that he can be a right tackle. But what Cody's saying is true, is that he's just stronger in run protection than he is in pass protection.
Yeah.
So he is going to be he's younger. I would say this is that I would be more optimistic about Daryl Williams if we had seen more than one full season out of him. But we've got, not only are there some question marks about his actual play on the field and ability, or particularly maybe limitations, but he has not been able to stay healthy. And sadly, some of that's not his fault. But I mean, you can't help injury, but sometimes it does become habitual.
Yeah, I mean, I just
I'm just saying this. I think we get more bang for our buck with Paradis than if we would have signed Daryl Williams.
I cannot agree with you more, but I'm talking in the terms of tackles. If we have to play Moten on the left and play Williams on the right, I don't think that's a terrible position to be in.
Wouldn't be awful, but I know Cody has been a strong fan of keeping Moten on the right and getting a guy that he thinks could be just developed into a left. I promise you this, if we get a rookie left tackle, it's going to be some growing pains with it. It don't matter if they're top 5 pick, top 16 pick. There will be some growing pains, and Moten better be able to hold his own on the right, because you want to put tight end help, it's going to be on the left. We're going to need it. Let's get into the next call. The number is 2-5.
I do want to say one more thing, though. So, yes, a left tackle is definitely going to have some growing pains. It doesn't matter if it's Jonah Williams, Andre Dillard, and I mean, those guys are the best names to mention for left tackle. But I do want to say this. Having a quarterback like Cam Newton helps. Okay, Cam Newton has never had a dominant tackle position on the left or right side, so his mobility does help. But if Cam has a dominant interior line, so the center, the right guard, and the left guard, I almost prefer that than having dominant tackle play, because if Cam Newton has time to step up into the pocket and distribute the football and maybe have some time to move around, I'm more confident in his ability to avoid an edge rusher than I am to for him to dodge like a Fletcher Cox or an Aaron Donald. You know, I would prefer him have a clean pocket to be able to step up and throw the football. So that's why I'm okay with having a tackle that might have some growing pains.
Do you think Khalil? Do you guys think Khalil plays this year?
Probably so.
Joe?
I absolutely do. I think if we could have, we would have liked to have cut him and saved the money. But because he's getting paid, I think they expect him to go out there and earn the starting job.
They can save some money if he is you get 2 June 1st designated cuts. You don't save the money till next year though.
Right.
But it is the question is that's going to be determined a lot in the draft. Is that you could cut him June 1st if you get a offensive tackle in the first round. If you get a Dillard or you get the other guy, who's the other guy, the Alabama dude?
Jonah Williams.
Jonah Williams. That those could be, but you still might draft those guys and still keep Khalil around, because if you lose, one of the things we learned here is when Khalil went down, we had nothing. And he was already nothing when he was on the field. If anything, it might be just worth keeping him around to just pick up trash in the parking lot until an injury happens. And but here we'll continue to look at that, monitor that. A lot of questions be answered on draft night and the days of free agency to come. Here, let's keep going with these cat calls.
So what up, C3 fam? Josh from Mass. It's been a hot minute since I called in on the cat call. Usually I'm just, trying to trade everybody in the chat to Buffalo every week. But,
and the
host. There's a lot to talk about this week, man. The fun. He done funching around in Carolina, He going off somewhere else, up in Indy, and they paid him way too goddamn much money, fool. What the hell are they smoking up there? But it's $13 million with incentives, but I guess it's closer to $10 million guaranteed. It's like that's almost top tier wideout money. Like, man, they smoking some stuff up in Indy. I didn't know they legalized. And then we got TD going to San Diego, L.A. I actually see that being a pretty good fit for him. I think that makes a lot of sense. Little disappointed that it seems like we're going to let Williams walk. We might even let Kyle Love go on and walk.
So he's
a little disappointing to see that, but
good name to talk about.
It is what it is. We just don't have the cap this year to do a whole lot of exciting things. But that's just popping up now. I guess we signed a center out of Denver. I didn't get a chance to really grab his name and look at any of his stuff. So hopefully he's worth a damn. That'd be nice. 3 years, $27 million. Yeah, that's not terrible, as long as he's worth it. Man, I think the biggest letdown of the weekend was AB going to the Raiders. Not because I thought he was going to come to Charlotte, but because if y'all remember, it was like Friday night. They're like, AB is getting traded to Buffalo, my man. And I was dying. I was rolling. And then I woke up Saturday morning heartbroken that I wasn't going to be able to go blasting into the chat tonight on Tuesday and be like, yo, guess who got traded to Buffalo? That's a shame that piece of humor got ripped away from our little community like that. But it's just the way it is.
He got ripped away from our community.
And then we signed Heineke for another year. I wouldn't have bothered. I think that was the better quarterback, probably cheaper too. I mean, whatever. If they're willing to reverse the order on the depth chart, then that'd be cool. And I think I'm almost out of time.
Man, he knew he's watching the clock.
Yeah, nope, that's the end of it, I believe, right there.
Yeah, let's see. You know what? He might have one more call here, but let's go ahead and take. He might have another call to follow up. 3 things I want to come away from that call. Let's talk about Kyle Love first.
Yeah.
Joe Person comes out with a tweet that says the Carolina Panthers were interested in extending Kyle or to getting Kyle Love back on the team. Productive player 2 years in a row for the Carolina Panthers. I want to say that Kyle Love has been with the team on and off. I feel like he's one of those players that played with us a couple of years and then left and then came back in this second stint. Pretty big boy. A lot of people, first, I know that Rich Kingston in England loves him. And everybody loved him more than Poe. He seemed more productive last year than Dontari Poe. But I am going to take the position of I'm kind of glad this didn't work out. Now, I understand that if we look in the immediacy, Love has been a pleasant surprise in addition to this team. We have loved that addition. But in some ways, I feel like, you're 32 years old, maybe going on 33. He could get older quickly too. And we saw last year, if we learned a lesson anywhere, is that in the trenches, this age shows a little bit more quickly. And a guy of that size, I don't know, is that maybe this is the time that you suck it up, Buttercup, and you go with a younger player here. Maybe you tough out Vernon Butler a little bit more time going forward. I don't know what we're going to have to do. Maybe we can't go 3 tackle rotation, can we, Joey? Oh, we might have lost Joe for a second. Go ahead, Cody. Where do you think? I know that you wanted to see Love back in a Panthers jersey.
So this is, and I'm glad that that this was brought back up by Josh. This is part of the reason why I wasn't happy with the Torrey Smith deal, because that's $5 million going towards a receiver that caught 17 passes. Yet I think there is a legitimate case to be made that Kyle Love was a better defensive tackle last year than Dontari Poe was. And Dontari Poe is the one that we shelled out all that money for to be a starter. I just feel that there are games when Kyle Love, of all people, was our best pass rusher from a one-technique defensive tackle position. Now, I'm not saying this is all the time, but who would you rather have, Kyle Love or Torrey Smith? And I know you and I have kind of talked about that before, but I would much rather have Kyle Love. And you're right. Love has been on the team, I believe, since 2015. So he was with us on that Super Bowl run. I'm a fan of Kyle Love. I think as a rotational player, he fits what we do well. He knows the team, and I think that he's worth the money. So that's another reason why I wasn't happy that $5 million wasn't going towards a 17-catch receiver when it could have gone towards a proven commodity at the defensive tackle position.
I don't know. I hate to pay somebody a little bit too much for what they did. Is that, we need to find the next Kyle Love in a way. I think another thing too is that we got to ask the question, and I think Ron Rivera has been pretty protective of Dontari Poe. I want Dontari Poe to work. I thought it was going to work better than it did. We got a lot of money invested in it, so we got to stop complaining about it, start cheering about it in a way. But the question is maybe some of the schematic changes, would that lend to maybe more 3-4 looks? Would that help Poe? I think Love is a player that probably could fit as a backup, as a nose too there as well. So we'll see. Maybe the defensive tackle position can be alleviated a hair by scheme. But the Panthers are going to have to do something. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they try to get a defensive tackle in this draft at some point. Or Vernon Butler. Good God. They did play him a lot last year. I hope that we can get some use out of him. Joe, you got any thoughts on Love before we move on?
Yeah, I think I like him as a rotational player, coming in off the bench, giving some of our other big guys a breather. I like him because I feel like you can trust him. He's going to do the right thing every time. He's familiar with our system. Yeah. And, he's been around the locker room. So if we can hold on to him, I'd love to be able to. But, in this time and era that is the NFL, you lose people over, $10,000.
Yeah, straight. Well, yeah, that's the truth. Next thing that stuck out to me on that call from Josh from Ashton. Thanks, Josh, for being such a big supporter of the show. Been on the show before. Love to have you back. Expect to have you here on draft night as well. He's excited about it, I know. Antonio Brown, the saga. It continued. It ended. It continued. It was his time in Buffalo was so short that I didn't even know it happened, because I went to bed that night before I saw any of the news. Maybe I just didn't check the news or whatever. And then I woke up and people were talking about the deal that fell through. And I saw one guy from Buffalo said that Antonio Brown's stay in Buffalo lasted longer than about the same time as my first marriage. And now Antonio Brown, a lot of criticism, divisiveness, and polarizing year for Antonio Brown. We've seen that he has been outspoken about wanting out of Pittsburgh. A lot of people have described him as a petulant child, as a guy that has put himself above his team, that has forced himself in a way that they were rooting for him to fail. One of the things, too, as that the Steelers said, we're going to accommodate this trade, there were not as many suitors early on as some people had originally thought there would be maybe a month ago or three, when this saga first started. So the notion that Antonio Brown as a problem, as a cancer, as a diva, as a distraction, that had gained so much traction. Antonio Brown was going to be cast into the depths of despair when it comes to Buffalo. He denied it. He power played it. He power played everything, and he is a Raider now, and he got a damn pay raise. I think this is that I wasn't necessarily rooting for or against Antonio Brown. The thing that came to me is if you look at his numbers, the production is there. And I was a little stunned that there wasn't even more interest in him. But he's a Raider, Cody, with a pay raise. Where are you at on Antonio Brown?
Basically he had, I don't want to put it this way. I was going to say a child threw a temper tantrum and got everything that he wanted out of his temper tantrum. That's 100% what happened. But also, and I called into my buddy Pigskin Pete's show. He's another YouTuber. He's a Clemson guy, and I called into his show, and we were talking about this. And I feel that Ben Roethlisberger is just a terrible human being and a bad leader. And I think that too much of the blame goes on Antonio Brown for that locker room being toxic or messed up or whatever. Listen, if you're done somewhere, move on to somewhere else. And the man got paid and a brand new contract.
That's what I was a little stunned by. I thought he was going to get dealt. I didn't think it was going to come with a bump.
And they only got a 3rd and a 5th round pick for him. They didn't even. They wanted a 1st round pick for Antonio Brown, and that did not happen at all. So
the Steelers, they kind of put themselves in a corner when they said, the trade's going to happen by Friday.
Yeah.
They were painting themselves into a corner, and nobody took the bait. Not because he didn't get traded until Saturday.
I got to say this, is the people is that just listen to these numbers. Here are receptions. Since 2013, he has had over 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 6 seasons in a row, he's had over 100 catches. He had 136 in 2015. He had 104 last year. Since 2013, he has had over 1,200 yards every season, over 1,250 yards every season. He had 1,800 yards in 2015. He had 1,500 yards in 2017. He had a quiet last year. Antonio Brown had a quiet 104 catches for 1,300 yards.
But will he do that with Derek Carr throwing him the football?
Maybe not. He had 15 touchdowns, career high too last season. 15 touchdowns.
So as a receiver, as good as you might be, you're only as good as the receiver throwing. As the quarterback throwing you the football. What's it going to do with Derek Carr throwing him the football? I think Derek Carr is an underrated quarterback. A lot of people hate on him. I don't think he's terrible. I think in Okay. I mean, in 2016, I think, after Derek Carr got hurt, he was, that team went downhill. So,
He can be good. He
yeah, I think
can be. He
I think so.
absolutely can be good.
They had a big running game that year, though.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Look,
but
let's be honest. Any quarterback that has a good running game can have a good year.
Yeah.
The problem is, unless you're cursed, like the Carr family is. Carr family cursed. And was there any Love, AB, and I think that was about it. When
Would
it
you
came
want
to
you want to wait for the Odell thing, or you want to do that later, or because everyone's talking
here.
about it.
Well, let's see this. Let's just see what the next call's got. All right,
Okay,
we got a couple more calls.
Hey, Josh from Max again.
Josh, he's probably gonna
And
bring
hey,
it
I
up.
almost forgot. We re-signed everybody's favorite, Colin Jones. The necessary.
How have we not talked about that?
Special teams, but man, I just hope we don't have to suffer watching that man go out there and get lit on fire like a piece of pork dropped on a hot coal. That was bad last year, man. Seeing him go in there and try to run coverage, it's bad. But also calling in this week, I'm a little under the weather. I might not make it into the chat tonight. So I wanted
He's
to give
back.
a shout
He's
out
here.
Oh,
to
he's a
James,
good
Wes,
chat.
Lynn, Cody, Ken, everybody else. I know I'm forgetting a few.
Wes Underground,
but I hope y'all
Daniel
are out
Duncan,
enjoying the
Audley, Brad
there's no
Dugan,
news to enjoy, but enjoying the
Trill.
early part of free agency here, and hope y'all having a good night. Maybe I'll be in the chat, maybe I won't. Gotta see how I'm feeling. See if I can beat this fever a little bit. But y'all have a good one.
He's got
Keep
the
pounding.
He's got the free agent fever. Colin Jones, is that I am a Colin Jones hater. But I understand this move a lot. Is that first of all, Colin Jones is a good special teams player. Like he is a necessary component on a team if you don't ask him to play on defense. The other thing though is that we have signed Jermaine Carter, Colin Jones now, two linebacker. I thought we had one other linebacker that we may have kind of signed to a futures deal. Cannot remember what it was. I'm starting to think that this is saying that we are parting ways when it comes to David Mayo. That the writing is on the wall that's not part of the plan. So Colin Jones, the fastest man on the team, that we only learn how fast he is when he's chasing down somebody that just got past him because he blew the coverage. Colin Jones, congrats. We got to deal with you another year. I hope I only see you on special teams and maybe depth. Nah. All right, let's keep going.
Hi guys, Rich in London.
What's up, Rich?
We have got a centre. We have got a centre. Matt Paradis. Matt Paradis. We have got a centre. We have got a centre. Matt Paradis. Anyway, that's kind of football chances in this country. Well, what great signing. Everyone's paying way too much money for really average players. And we pull this off. Allegedly second best centre in the league. A broken fibula is nothing. Small bone, easily healed. He should be absolutely fine. What a fantastic start. We won't probably now draft another centre, so clearly edge or tackle. God, I hope it's edge or tackle will be the focus at 16. Maybe safety in the second round, but it just removes one thing from the draft that we have to focus on, even though they were good centres. But on that, there were a couple of Ragnow and Billy Price last year were meant to be good centres. So, 2 or 3 more this year. They clearly come out, and 3 years if Paradis is done. I'm sure we'll find another one. It does mean we've still got a good backup in Larson, who might move to guard. But, yeah, Moten, Turner, Paradis, Van Roten, and the turnstile on the left. Maybe we can sort that. Maybe we get lucky and Jonah Williams or Dillard, someone drops the left tackle. But a very good day. The Twitter's absolutely exploded. I've done my best to try and get PFF Sam Monson. some national recognition onto our
I saw that, man.
Tony and Cody's podcast. I just keep hijacking it every week. Anyway, guys, everyone does a great job. A very impressive day. I think Marty Herney has really, really done something very, very impressive. It's when you see all the professionals, the Brian Baldingers and all those people saying, wow, what a great move this is for the Panthers, when basically they've all been sort of face palming in the last couple of days at everybody else. You know you've done something right. Anyway, guys, look forward to hearing this tomorrow, and keep pounding. We have got a centre. We have got a centre.
We have got a center, and I saw Jeff Schwartz giving this love. I think this is a great signing. I've been very happy with this. Also, to mention some housekeeping names that we got Colin Jones in the books. Both Taylor Heineke signs, and I did see he will be signing a 1 year contract, as well as I saw Joe Person implied that Cal, for y'all that have asked, that is Kyle Allen still on the team. A Joe Person tweet said this to the effect of Taylor Heineke now joins Kyle Allen. So it at least indicated to me that he is currently on the roster at this point, which could mean this is that the idea of drafting a quarterback in this is a little bit more far removed from the minds of the general managers going forward. Ron Rivera said they like what they had in these backups. And I think when they say, I like what we have in these backups, it means it's Cam Newton or bust, baby. And if in Cam Newton we trust, and without Cam Newton we bust, you might as well it's kind of like Cook, guys. It's going to be hard to have a team without Cam Newton. Last call of the night, the number is 252-228-5098. We still got a couple of topics to get through, too.
Hey, Panther Nation podcast, how y'all doing?
What's up,
G? That we picked up safety from Denver. Paradise. I'm going to call him Paradise City. You got Guns N' Roses song.
Paradise City.
Taking down Paradise City where the grass is green and the girls look pretty. Now, with that, the Panthers doing that, do you guys feel that we will go after a offensive left tackle in the first round, or do we go defensive end in the first round? That's the question I want to know, because, I still want the boy from Alabama to play left tackle, even though people say he has short arms and this and that,
Fake news.
And I wouldn't mind seeing Montez Sweat or, hope and pronounce his name right, Clinton Farrell out of Clemson.
Cleveland Farrell.
Defensive end. So what do you guys think? Because I think since we got that center now, I think the young man from NC State, Bradbury, whatever his name is, I think we could give that a rest. But I'm still in love with that left tackle pick. I really am. And the free safety position. Now, we have Reed, but we need somebody next to him. And I'm looking on Twitter, and I see that a lot of people saying us to get Trey Boston back. A fellow Tar Heel, and I'm a Tar Heel fan. I wasn't a big Trey Boston fan, but before he left, he was doing a hell of a lot better than when he first started.
True.
But I still wouldn't mind seeing Clinton Dix, either one of those two. But we'll see. We still have time. We never do a big splash on the first day of free agency anyway. So give me guys' opinion. Who do you guys think we'll take? A left tackle or defensive end, or with the 16th pick in the first round, who do you think the Panthers, what position are we going to take? Keep pounding.
A couple of weeks ago, Cody, I declared a national emergency on this podcast. And I declared on the campaign for another season that we needed to
build that wall. Build that
wall.
Build that
wall. My answer is what Joe's answer was last week. I think that we can get by. I think that that the offensive line will be more helpful than reaching on a defensive end who potentially is really a second-round pick, but people are running on him early. They say it's a deep draft. Joe, will you vote for me if my platform is build that wall?
Yes, if you're voting for the wall of offense to be put in front of Cam Newton, yes, absolutely voting
That's
for you.
exactly what it is. That is exactly what.
We just have to have it.
Yeah.
If we end up having to score, 28 points a game to be able to beat teams, I like those chances. If we have a good offense in front of Cam, a good line.
You're right. You're right. All right, Cody,
I
you
think
tell
we
us.
have the positions, the people everywhere else on the field to be able to do it. We've got a team full of Christian McCaffreys, and they're going to be in their second year. They're going to be so much better. Think of how good they were this past year. They're going to be so much better this year.
Another year between Cam Newton, Norv Turner. Another year of Norv Turner with these receivers, knowing more and more what he's got. And now an offensive line, maybe, that you could build if you build that wall in front of Cam and Cam Newton's shoulder is healthy, that all of a sudden we could see some of the elements of the Norv Turner offense that we did not get to see as much because of the limitations that struck Cam Newton early. The Panthers offense and this team was 6-2 before Cam Newton and the shoulder problems started to fall apart. That was with a very, very old defense, a defense that was not playing to the level that anyone had expected it to play at that point. The question is that can Mario Addison give us another year? Can F.A. Obata step into a larger role? And maybe can we get somebody in this draft that can be a contributor? Cody, tell us deeper in this draft, if you are on the build that wall train, right? On that campaign, should I say, what are some things we could do later in this draft that could fortify our defenses on the other side of the trenches?
So there's a few names that could build our defensive in depth and maybe even find some starters. Listen, man, who's been on the build that wall train more than me, man? I mean, I've been saying for a long time, it's time to spend some premium draft capital on offensive linemen in the first round. Guys like Andre Dillard, who probably might be my number one left tackle pick in this draft, even over Jonah Williams. We'll talk about that more in depth at a later time. I do want to present the other side of this, though, because I do feel that there is more depth at the left tackle and even the guard position later on in the draft, whereas we might be able to grab a premium pass rusher at the 16th pick in the first round, whereas the drop-off in the second, third round for the defensive edge rushers, it's a little bit steeper of a drop. So that is the
concern.
The concern about going offensive lineman. You might be able to get more bang for your buck at the offensive tackle position in the second round. Yanni Cajuste out of West Virginia. That's a name I like a whole lot. Is very, very strong. Anchor as well. It just depends on how teams value him. Didn't you have the names?
And it happens, Cody, it does.
Yep.
Some of it is like how the board unfolds before us. Think about the run on receivers that year that John Ross and Mike Williams went around. They just was an unnatural state of the board. So while we could say that, hey, whatever happens in the top 10 has a trickle down effect. And that could really dictate more than just who we, even if you had the choice between, all of a sudden you might have a player you didn't think you could get.
And if Dwayne Haskins, Kyler Murray, and Drew Lock, the three quarterbacks, if they're all top 10 picks, which is very, very likely that they might be just that, then that also pushes more people down the board for us. I mean, there are a lot of premium first round defensive talent that will be there for us to be able to select. It just depends on who you're in love with. I'm on team build that wall. I'm just of the mindset, as long as it's an offensive tackle or a guard, even a left guard would be awesome, or a defensive end tackle, guard, defensive end. Those three I'm 100% happy with, but nothing makes me happier than a franchise left tackle. 100% I want to build that wall around number one.
I agree. You heard it. The campaign has started here. We declared a national emergency. We're asking for your vote. And in this upcoming election, we've got Cody, the campaign manager, Joe, our elder statesman here, all endorsing it at this point. But there are some questions there, is that at this point, if it's not a left tackle, if Jonah Williams and Dillard are gone, then all of a sudden we might be thinking defensive end, because the value you could get in the second round. So it's going to be a lot of this will be dictated about how the board falls. And like Ken D said in the chat room earlier, we've got enough needs to where trading back is not out of the realm of possibilities for us. So if you move from 16
Yes.
22 and you get a defensive tackle and a defensive end, and you get 2 first or early second round pick, you might be able to get some value there. Now, going to the last point of the call, Trey Boston. I did not really care for Trey Boston when he was here.
Me neither.
I think though, and I was honest at this, I think throughout the podcast that we did back then, is that part of that was that we asked, Dave Gettleman had some favorites that he put into some big spots early, maybe earlier than they needed to be in. Trey Boston all of a sudden finds himself starting late in his rookie season and in his second season, had a couple of successful play, but you didn't pair him beside an anchor. You had a guy who had some limitations beside Roman Harper. Now, if you bring back a Trey Boston, arguably one of the ugliest people in the NFL. Sorry, Trey Boston. Your mom is good looking. Boy, you are terrible looking.
Oh, his mom is hot?
Yeah, and she's like,
I've never seen her.
Yeah, she's nice. She'll talk to you on Twitter until you talk junk about her baby. I know how to make mamas mad. I know how to make mamas mad on Twitter. Ask Mike Tolbert's mother. But the idea here is that Trey Boston isn't the same player he was when he left necessarily. He goes on. He's gotten more experience as he's left in Arizona. And you've got now Eric Reed, someone as well as Dante Jackson over there, where you get speed, James Bradbury. All of a sudden, he is the least valuable player on the team, and it takes some pressure off of him. It could be, I think Golden could be a fit here too. It's just a question of, are you ready to risk it all at that point? I do think that maybe picking up a free safety early in this draft might be spending too much for some other guys that you could do. We'll be interested to see how that goes. Cody, where do you see the Carolina Panthers go at the safety position?
Yeah, so I'm kind of on, I'm not mad if we brought in Trey Boston just to be another warm body. I mean, the dude had some good interceptions in 2015. I think the problem
he's not a good tackler. That's the problem.
He's a bad tackler, very bad tackler. And I think him and Kirk Coleman were both playing out of position. They had one of them at strong, one of them at free. I wouldn't be mad at that. I think after he left, he had like 5 interceptions for the Chargers, and then had a relatively quiet
year. He made the Pro Bowl, I think.
Yeah, then you had a quiet year for Arizona. Listen, I'm not mad if we brought Trey back for the right price now. I'm of the mindset now, and you all know this. My mind is 100% on the draft. I've been combing through so much film of players, and I have a million different draft crushes, and they're all going to break my heart when they all go to a different football team. But yeah, I'm just I want to build our team in the draft and put young, talented players at starting positions all over the football field. To be honest, I'm not mad if Paradise, whatever, if that's the only player that we sign and that's it moving forward. Maybe add Kyle Love to that list if we're able to, figure out how to make that work, I'm happy. I'm ready to move on to the draft and inject some young talent onto the football team.
Joe, the Dave Gettleman story continues to be fascinating, even though he's not part of the Carolina Panthers. Dave Gettleman goes to New York and does make everybody mad. Today, first, it started with Landon Collins not giving him the franchise tag, and then Landon Collins gets blessed. He should say thank you to Dave Gettleman because he goes and signs a lucrative deal with the Redskins, reminiscent of Josh Norman being told to here's your walking papers, go. And then Josh Norman went and made $50 million. Appreciate it. In fact, Josh Norman said Dave Gettleman is like the best thing that happens to cornerbacks. Then the story gets complicated even more today as they trade. Boy, does Dave Gettleman like to trade with the Browns. He traded.
Yeah.
Who did he trade? He got a guard
Olivier Vernon.
For some good for a guard, I think.
Well, he traded away Olivier Vernon for Kevin Zeitler, a guard with the Browns, and Zeitler is pretty good. He's actually one of the better guards in football. And then
a lot of people were praising that trade. A lot of Giants fans were happy with that trade.
Yeah. But I mean, I think what you're seeing now is the same thing you saw when he was with the Panthers. They move on from a prominent piece in the backfield like Josh Norman, like they did to Josh. They did that to Landon Collins. And everyone knows what he did to Steve Smith, a legendary Panther player. And now David Gettleman just traded away maybe the most popular receiver, the most famous receiver in the NFL, maybe. I mean,
we could argue that.
Yeah, 100%.
It's him and AB are neck and neck every year. Right now, AB, he's got more years of more years on him. Odell's had an injury he's had to deal with. The difference between the Odell thing is that and Steve Smith is that you could see how Gettleman could have been saying, hey, Smith is aging out. Odell is at the peak of his career potentially. But I think we got Andy Lee. Didn't we get Andy Lee from the Browns? That punter?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
So he loves trading with the Browns. But right now, I got to say this. Gettleman did fortify the line. He's done some great things there with the offensive line. He's committed there. He went and got Saquon Barkley. The question is, does he get a rookie quarterback? Does he trade for a Josh Rosen now? Or where do you see, Joey, the legacy of Dave Gettleman now that he is just doing these big, audacious moves in New York City, stepping up to the microphone, really taking the body blows from the media probably. If anybody has the moxie and the balls and the pig-headedness to do it, it's Dave Gettleman.
Yeah, he will forever, going forward from this moment, be known as the Butcher. Because he goes to a team and he hacks them up. He's chopping, he's slicing, he's dicing.
He's like Dexter.
Yeah, he's whittling that team down to the very core. And yet again, he's getting rid of. There's definitely talent there, but there is some inconsistency. There is some divaness. There is some bad elements for the locker room that he's getting out of here. And, I can't see it any other way than a straight rebuild for the Giants. That's exactly where they are in rebuild mode.
He got Jabril Peppers, though. And the question is...
Which actually is a good move as far as replacing a position
Landon
with a
Collins.
good player.
Yeah, and then and a young player to get some time
Right.
on. The question I have here too is that, and Cody and I talked a little bit before the show about this. Cody, Joey says they're in straight rebuild mode. Is that when you've got Saquon Barkley, when you have gotten you've started to make some improvements on the offensive line, were they as far away? Were they in the depths of despair as far away if they could solve the Eli Manning problem? It
No.
seems like he committed to the rebuild. So my two questions for you, Cody, are this: is that where were they? Were they truly rebuilding? And second, what does Dave Gettleman have to do? What has to happen going forward for him not, as Daniel Duncan say, for Giants fans to go to his house right now and seek revenge? What needs to be the story that comes out of this that justifies trading away potential a wide receiver who is really on par with the best that we've seen in the last decade? What's got to happen?
Saquon Barkley has to be the first running back since Adrian Peterson to win the MVP. That's what I think. I mean, fly out. I think,
he almost did it last year, to be honest.
And you know what? And you know what? He did it. He had almost as good of a season as Todd Gurley with a much worse offensive line.
With a much worse team. That's the thing. Is that, like, yeah.
Listen, I'm a Panther fan first and foremost, but I will never lie to you about talent. Barkley has the potential to be a once-in-a-lifetime talent at that position, and I don't say that lightly. I mean, he is incredible. The one thing I'll say, though, is Eli Manning is the problem with that offense, and not Odell Beckham. I mean, listen, if they drafted Dwayne Haskins, who is my number one rated quarterback in the class, dude, if they drafted him and had Barkley and Odell Beckham, man, that offense is good to roll, man. Evan Ingram, Sterling Shepard, that offense had the firepower. I just don't understand this. Having 2 first-round picks, does one of them equal out to Odell Beckham Jr.? I mean, you're on hope and a prayer right there, my man. I don't know. I would not have made that move. Having 2 marquee offensive players at wide receiver and running back, you're 1 quarterback away from having a dominant offense. Yeah, I don't understand for the life of me what the hell Dave Gettleman was thinking up on that one. I'm not a fan of that. But hey, man,
well,
if you're a Browns fan,
he does get a lot of picks here. I mean, there are some ways that he could come out of this on the positive side. You could get Josh Rosen for a 3rd right now, maybe, or a 2nd-round pick, have 2 first-round picks. You could do a lot of things. There are some things, but it takes a lot of moxie, like you said, to trade away Odell. It seems a little premature in some ways. We'd have to look at their salary cap situation to see how it truly worked out. Look, the Texans added a good player today with Bradley Roby. Interesting to see that. John, there's still a lot of things that are going on throughout the NFL.
And didn't they get, what's his name, the Honey Badger?
No, he went to Kansas City.
Oh, that's right. He went to KC.
They get some guy named Gibson. They got Bradley Roby and who else did they get? Secondary, asking to fill the whole $10 million deal. Palmer Ports Houston announced they're signing Tayshaun Gibson, who was cut by the Jaguars.
So by the way, Cam Newton was at some event tonight, and there was a bunch of media around. This is a picture of Cam Newton learning about the Odell Beckham trade, like as it's happening. And you can see his face too, like, whoa, Dave Gettleman did what now?
How about this? Do you see who's showing it to him?
Yeah, Jordan Rodriguez.
Jordan Rodriguez. Man, you got to wonder sometimes as Cam Newton, I would not, if I was Cam, look, I'm petty enough, I'd be salty as hell still. I would still be salty about that mess, about losing that damn yogurt sponsorship because of that. Now Cam
Daniel
Newton's not.
sucks anyway.
But so lots of news going around, but there's no better news and no way. Joey, I don't know if you got to see this earlier in the show. Me and my wife have been arguing. We've been arguing at this point of what the superior salad is, Joey. And that is, are you a house salad guy or are you a Caesar salad guy? Joey, I think there's a certain elegance to a Caesar salad, right? A refined simpleness to this. Joe, we had someone drop in on the show and weigh in on it. Cody, let's see who we had.
Tony, enough all this going back and forth and all this other stuff. Y'all need to go ahead and pick the house salad because it's going to be the best for everybody. You never know if somebody like all the Parmesan cheese and all the other extra.
Who don't like Parmesan cheese?
Like that. So you got to go with the house salad. The house is for everybody.
Devin Funchess dropped in on the C3 podcast talking salad, Joe.
Oh, that's a legendary.
I cannot believe he did that.
Well, sometimes you just don't know. You don't know. Sometimes we're all in the dark. Sometimes we're all in the dark, and now no one's in the dark. And you know what? I felt a little bad about it at first. When I got it back, I was like, man, was that too silly of me to do? And then as people were trashing on him, and then he made $10 million the same day. Same day he sent me the video, he made $10 million. So do I got to feel bad? No.
Not at all. You know how many house salads he's going to buy with that?
Yeah. He's going to buy the house. Josh from Mass says, arguing with the wife, you better get over to Blue Chew, Tony. Never know. You never know how things go.
Just to clear things up from my end, you always get the house salad because you want blue cheese dressing.
Ooh, I'm a blue cheese fan. I like blue cheese.
Too. Heck yeah.
I'm one of those. I like on is that Kroger on WFNZ. They used to always ask guests, "Are you a ranch or blue cheese guys when it comes to eating wings?" I'm blue cheese all the way. But you know what? I feel like you grow into that. That comes with maturity.
Yeah. Hey, I will say this though about a Caesar salad. Absolutely an elegant and simple in its design, but elegant in its taste because that dressing, that Caesar dressing, that is a very intricate dressing. You have to do a lot of things in a particular order to get that dressing right.
Josh from Mass says he's a ranch guy. He's probably sitting Indian style right now, dipping his chicken nuggets in ranch.
Hey, I love both of them, man. I've been dipping chicken in ranch and blue cheese since I was knee high to a bullfrog, dude.
Yeah,
so
my middle one, Madeline. My middle one, Madeline, takes shots of ranch. Man, I think she eats a little bit of pizza, with a ranch every night. We were at Michelangelo's tonight, Joey.
Oh, yeah?
She was like this. Yeah, we saw Pat there, but my kids are dipping their ranch. I just think of little Steph Curry sitting Indian style in the locker room, dipping his chicken nuggets in ranch, and then going out and dropping 60 in the third. Little child, looking like a child out there with men. That's right. All right. Any other? I think that's about all the Panther news and all the football news we got. And I think it's time to kick on over to the time of the show that has crapped out on us the last 2 weeks. We still got YouTube connection, so let's get into it. Let's jump into the Ice Up Picks of the Week. We are honoring, this is our homage to Steve Smith, where he tells you how it goes. He straight said on NFL Network, Dave Gettleman doesn't need to be a football person, better with the players. He needs to be a better people person. There was some irony coming from that, from a guy who solved his problems with people by punching them in the face, But I would say that Steve Smith has matured and grown as an individual. He has gone from a ranch connoisseur to a blue cheese connoisseur type guy. He's great on TV at this point. Steve Smith, beloved, and he will tell anybody to ice up, to toughen up, to get it together. He might even try to fight you and your family on the way out of the New England Stadium. But what we have here, Cody, are you ready for your ice up pick tonight?
Sure. I can.
All right,
I can go
Joe,
first.
you got one? If you need some time. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Joe.
let Joe go first.
Yeah, mine's pretty simple and straightforward. People, I just want to let people know this for those of you who are unaware. When you go to the zoo, the cages are there for a particular reason. They have partitions that separate you, that create space from the animal's cage, and it's there for a reason. Okay? This young lady, I don't know her name, I think it was out in California, decided to take a selfie with a jaguar and climbed up onto the partition.
Put it away, Cody.
And put her hand on the fence and wanted to take a picture with the jaguar. Well, the jaguar saw her hand and thought, oh, she wants a high five. And he gave
is
her
that what
a
she
high
thought?
five. He gave her a high five, but he also put his claws into her hand. And she could not separate herself from him. Thankfully, I believe a bystander was able to distract the jaguar with a water bottle. She stuck the water bottle in the fence, and the jaguar got distracted and came over, thereby letting go of the woman's hand. But had that woman not stepped up and tried to be a good Samaritan, that young lady might have lost her hand. So I know in this age of selfies and wanting to catch everything, capture the moment and memorize it with a photograph or a selfie, remember that you're at the zoo, that these animals are wild, and they have fences and barriers for your safety. So don't try to climb over them or get around them, because then you make yourself look like an idiot. And we have to ice you up on the CG podcast for getting your hand mauled by a leopard giving you a high five.
Natural selection at its finest.
Yeah, I mean, this is like real wild kingdom crap. So I wish I knew her name. It's a young lady out in California at the zoo, high-fiving jaguars. Ice up, ma'am.
Ice up. You're going to have to put some ice on that funky arm. Cody put the picture up. I can't take looking at it. They kept showing it on the internet, and it looks like just raw hamburger beef.
It was blurry. It was blurry out, but
was it?
It was. So, do you have yours, Tony?
I'm ready.
Yeah, go ahead and go first. Joey cribbed mine, but I have a backup.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. That was the easiest one. And by the way, if you look at a picture of the jaguar, it's all black. So you can even call it. Yeah, you could even call it a panther, which would be perfect. Yeah, even more perfect for our show.
Yeah. Well, that is perfect for the show. And on top of that, lady, if you're that upset about the problem with the Jaguar and the high five, write into the Tennessee paper. I'm sure they would love to publish how Cam Newton was at fault for this. Now, moms against Cam Newton. Now, my ice up pick goes first and foremost to rich, snooty people that don't think they got it good enough. But second of all, I'm going to single out two specifically in Felicity Huffman and Laura Laughlin.
You stole mine too.
Oh gosh, yeah.
No, you're fine, dude. Go ahead. We'll do it. We'll do it. Ice up.
So for me, this is that all of a sudden these allegations come about that, first of all, that these 25 families have paid this guy or something more, upwards of $25 million, some sort of agent that they were paying to falsify SAT scores, lie about their athletic skills to the point where they were photoshopping people's faces onto athletic pictures and different bodies and sending in with their profiles to these to get into these high level schools. Now we're talking about, it says prosecutors allege that Felicity Huffman, who I believe is the wife of William H. Macy.
Yeah.
Felicity Huffman paid $15,000 to an admissions consultant. Also known as the guy who's going to rig it all to have her daughter's SAT test by having a proctor fix her answer. Now, what my ice up pick goes to this is that these jerks got everything going for them already. They've their daughters that they've helped get into these schools. They've already starred in movies or been in films alongside of their parents. You got William H. Macy in People magazine just a week ago or a couple of weeks ago talking about how this was a stressful time for his daughter and how he wouldn't mind after she gets accepted if she would just take a year off and go into acting while she still was a young, and had the whole world ahead of her. There are people out there scraping, working hard, grinding it out, who have nothing, who are trying to get into mid-tier schools, who are trying to get into high-level schools. And these jerks own the world enough and are so, they think that are so entitled to get everything that they want that they even believe that they should be given access to the highest levels of academia simply because they are wealthy. And to you guys, I think this is that what I want to tell them to ice up about is that your stupid ass kid, that's right, stupid ass kid who couldn't take their SAT on their own was going to get into a top level school anyway. It might not have been a Princeton. It might not have been a Yale, but it would have been a USC. It could have been a UNC Chapel Hill. It could have been half of these schools that will sell their soul anyway. But now your stupid ass is going to be at the community college with me. That's right. I'm telling you to ice up. Right. And guess what? The community college is a great place for people who don't have millionaire parents that can pay people to rig the system for them. So kids, let's keep working hard, keep being honest. And you rich people that are rigging it, sad that life is so sucky for you and so hard for you that you've got to find ways to finagle and massage the system even more. Heaven forbid you just try to earn it on merit, you assholes. Ice up.
Ice up. So thankfully enough, there were enough people to ice up that even though two of my bestest showmates on the podcast, they stole my ice up pick, but it's okay because there's enough ice ups to go around. Listen, I don't care about your personal politics. I love that in America, you can believe whatever you want to. You can look up to different people on TV or on the internet that espouse the things that you believe in, and that's wonderful. The minute that you lose me is when you start talking about how it's okay to have sex with underage young teenage girls and absolutely just show what kind of scumbag you really are, and then double down on it. Listen, my ice up this Tuesday night is none other than one Tucker Carlson, and to show you a little,
this is deserved.
To show you a little bit of what my man has to say, I found a clip right here.
Oh gosh.
One thing you learn when you grow up in a castle and look out across the moat every day at the hungry peasants out in the village is you don't want to stoke envy among the proletariat because at any moment.
So you had that when you had that Mexican, when you had that African American shining the rims on your Bentley, that doesn't provoke them to be a little envious?
Oh no! I only have, American white servants.
You're such a liar. You're a liar.
No, it's true. No, and you know why? It's not
This
'cause I'm
guy's got to
racist,
be
it's 'cause I'm not.
fired.
It's because I feel better beating them. You know what I mean? I told you this.
You mean
before.
you'll get less heat when you beat up a white guy from West Virginia than if you beat a black guy, from somewhere, right?
When I cane them, yes.
Wow. So, okay, I thought that this was a different clip.
Whoa!
But apparently, he went on the Bubba Love Sponge show, which, by the way, that was the same guy that Hulk Hogan was filmed having sex with his wife or something way back in the day. Really dumb, man. But listen, this guy goes on there, says all this trash, even talks about, sexual stuff with underage females and how it is what, listen, and then the man doubles down and kind of backs up what he says. Man, come on, dude. Not the right thing to say. Not the right time. I'm not with it, man. Tucker Carlson, you're trash. Ice up, my man.
Defends headline is Tucker Carlson defends convicted sex abuser and calls women primitive in unearthed recording.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's the one to look for, I guess. But he said that some women were like dogs because they hate weakness and they are extremely primitive. He defended Warren Jeffs, who was convicted of sexual abuse on a child, saying the charges were bullshit because
that's what it was.
Because arranging a marriage between a 16-year-old and a 27-year-old is not the same as pulling her off the street and raping her. He said it's hard to determine. This guy, you're right. Trash. Ice up. I'm sorry. They're like, I hate if your political leanings just believe that you have to support people that are on a certain station. That right there, Cody pulled a clip that was not even the intended clip.
No.
And it was just as bad. It's just as bad.
This is bad.
There was no way that was him. That had to be an actor that sounds just like him.
That
could
was
not have
him,
been
man.
him.
He's a dumbass, dude.
him.
If you watch his show, he kind of is a dumbass. Like a lot of times he will debate back. And look, I don't watch it a ton, but he's just been caught so many times. And you're like, what? No, are you on drugs?
Look, I don't think very highly of him myself, but I can't think of anybody from any political party that would make those statements.
Well,
that's why I'm rising them up.
Go good. We're gonna have to do some research. You people in the YouTubers, come back. If you can find the Tucker Carlson voice impersonator, we need to hear it, because right now the dude just seems like he deserves to be iced up. Way to go, Cody. Go ahead, Joe.
If that's him, he needs to come off of TV like now.
Yeah, yesterday. Yes, even if he doesn't even say this stuff about this with the underage stuff, which is so weird and bizarre.
What he said, yeah.
About that's you have an awful sense of humor if you think that's a joke. You're the joke.
Yes.
All right, guys. This is the C3 Panthers podcast. We made it. We made it to the end of the show. We've had so much to talk about. We've had a fantastic audience. Man, how you talk about this is that this show is growing each and every week. We had 60 live viewers the whole show tonight, guys. Over 50 viewers all night. The show is growing in downloads. It's growing because you guys are fantastic in the chat room. You are smashing those thumbs up button. You are sharing the show. You're telling your friends about it. You're calling into the Cat Calls line. Remember, the number's 252-228-5098. My Twitter is @cat_chronicles. Cody, how can they follow you on Twitter?
@CODYLAC, Cody Lack. The draft, we're in full draft mode. In the coming weeks, we're going to be back into the better know a potential Panthers draft pick. And I'm so excited for it, man. We're going to be jumping on these prospects, showing you who to get excited about in the upcoming draft. Yeah, man. And a brand new draft tech mock draft every Wednesday with comments for the first and second round. Until free agency is over, there are no comments. But after this next Wednesday, there's going to be comments on all mock drafts on rounds 1 and 2 going forward. That's drafttech.com. Check it out.
Joe Riolano, the wise one. Each and every week he pops in here. He drops us with some wisdom that comes true the next week. Joe, how can they follow you on Twitter?
You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Riolano, or just look me up, The Third Half.
All right. My name's Tony Dunn. We'll be back here on Tuesday. We're going to keep trying to break down this coverage, bring you bonus things throughout the week. So make sure you subscribe to the feed. Check the feed. We're going to keep going. We're going to go strong to the draft. We're excited. We're getting excited each and every week, and it shows on the show because of you guys. We'll check you out next Tuesday.